Okay, we're talking about the darlings of the IPL in this one. We're talking about Chennai Super Kings. We're talking about MS Dhoni, the Fab Four, Suresh Raina's return, an aging squad, young players, possible 11s. Everything you need to know about the CSK right here. You hang around. Alright, if you haven't done it yet, like, share and subscribe to cricketnews.com. We have a lot on offer this IPL, so make sure you do it right away. We've got fantasy content, match previews and reviews with yours truly, podcast with yours truly, social roundups over the weekend as well. So much happening. So like, share and subscribe right now. Alright, let's talk about the Chennai Super Kings. It's a topic that I really truly love to talk about because this is a franchise that has seen a lot happening in its history, right? It's had its ups and downs, largely off the field at the beginning, but now there was a somber down as well in IPL 2020 when they finished in the second half of the table, like if we have to say it that way. CSK has never finished out of the top 4 until it was IPL 2020, and in hindsight you'd like to think that it was expected, wouldn't you like to say that? Because if you take a look at CSK, then you saw that MS Dhoni hadn't played any competitive cricket for a long time. A number of the players there in that batting order hadn't played a lot of cricket for a long time. Suresh Raina was absent. There was a bit of drama off the field. What happened in that hotel room, nobody knows. But Raina went back home and there was so much left up in the air. They did not begin on a good note, because well begun is half done, but a poor start at the beginning is curtains at the right away. And Chennai Super Kings fell trapped to that, didn't they? They did not begin well. They did not have their opening combination going at the beginning. They missed Harbhajan Singh very clearly. They did not have an off-spin option in the UAE. That troubled them. Some of the players looked rusty, to say the least, and it just didn't get going until the very end, where they looked like Ruturaj Gaikwad came in and gave that little bit of energy to the Chennai Super Kings. Until then, it looked like CSK was struggling. So that will be point number 1 that CSK would have addressed after the season. You'd like to think that champions come back strong and hard, and CSK are truly a champion side. Alright, before we take a look at what is coming up for CSK in IPL 2021, let's take a look at the auction, shall we, and review CSK's activity in the auction. The first thing that you saw was CSK really went after Glenn Maxwell. They contributed and they fought down RCB as much as they could, but ultimately RCB got Glenn Maxwell, and it was clear that CSK really wanted him, but they could only go down to a certain price, a certain amount, and beyond that RCB's purse came into the fray, and so CSK lost him. But at the end of the day, they did go on to make some very interesting buys, and none more than Moeen Ali. I think at 7 crore he is a big purchase for CSK, and especially because of the conditions that they will be playing in. Moeen Ali has also displayed some very good form in the recently concluded T20 and ODI series. Of course, more so in the ODIs because we didn't play in the T20s, but he's looked good. He's looked good in these conditions as well. Krishnappa Gautam is as well another player that they've gotten. So clearly MS Dhoni knew that the off-spin option is very important. So those are the 2 players he's gotten in price of 1 for Glenn Maxwell, if you look at it mathematically. So that is one area that they've addressed. Of course, Cheteshwar Pujara was the darling buy indeed of the auction. Everybody applauded, and rightfully so. Of course, a hero of Indian cricket, now getting a new home in the IPL, and that was wonderful. But apart from that, of course, a couple of young players in C. Hari Nishant, Harishankar Reddy, Bhagat Verma, and a couple of others, and that was that. So essentially CSK have decided to maintain their core and go about it that way by making a couple of additions, and it'll be interesting to see how these players add up and how do they contribute to CSK's cause in IPL 2021. Let's take a look at a potential 11 for the Chennai Super Kings this year, and of course you'd like to think that they have a set batting order and they'd rely upon that, and the number one thing that strikes you is the return of Suresh Raina. So if you take a look at the 11, here's what I think could potentially be a CSK 11 in IPL 2021. You'd like to think that Faf du Plessis and Ruturaj Gaikwad open. Ruturaj has looked very good in the domestic space as well, so he opens with Faf. Suresh Raina's return, of course, for Chinnathala and Chinnathala's fans, this is a big occasion. His return to yellow will be very, very important, and you'd like to think it'll be emotional as well. So Raina comes in at 3, Raidu at 4, Dhoni then comes in to bat at 5. I believe he should bat up the order because he needs a few deliveries to get going, or maybe he will sabotage himself, keep him down and promote the youngsters to give them more batting time. You never know what would happen. Sam Curran would follow. I think he's displayed some great form lately. He goes into that team seamlessly. Dhoni likes him as well. Jadeja follows, someone who's returning from injury. Bravo. And now you come to the bowling. So you'd like to think that someone between Moeen Ali or Krishnappa Gautam will be chosen for that off spinner role in this team, and you'll have Shardul Thakur coming in later, who's been very, very good for India, and it will be a toss-up between Hazelwood and Chahar, essentially depending on which foreign player you'd like to play. Would you play Moeen Ali or would you play Hazelwood? And in accordance will be the Indian players who will switch. The other important thing also for Chennai is that they begin their games in Mumbai. A large part of their games are at the beginning in Mumbai. Those conditions are conditions where the fast bowlers do really, really well. Not a lot of help for the spinners. So you'd like to see what MS Dhoni does, because this is a spin heavy team. It's a team that has a number of spin bowling options. Remember, apart from these players, there are a number of options in that team with Tahir, there's Lungi Ngidi as well. There are a number of bowling options, and it'll be interesting to see how Dhoni plays around with these bowlers, because that's where he is Chanakya. That's where Dhoni's craft comes out, and he becomes the captain that he becomes in the way he uses his bowlers in the middle overs and matches up the batsmen that arrive at the crease from the opposition. Alright, just a few worries for me for Chennai Super Kings, and if you're a CSK fan, you should probably look out for these. Where is the action for the top 4? Now you look at the Fab 4 of the CSK, and you like to think that Raina, Dhoni, Jadeja are your main players. These players are very, very important to this team, and none of them have had any action lately. And you add Ambati Raidu to that as well. You look at these 4 and you like to think, where have they played their cricket lately? They haven't really played a lot at all. Not a lot of competitive cricket at all for these 4, and that could be a big, big worry. Of course, your Faf du Plessis, Ruturaj Gaikwad, Sam Curran are players that have been in and around. They've had some action lately, but what about the rest? What about the 4? They really haven't had any action lately. The other worry that I have is, of course, them playing their matches at the beginning in Mumbai, in seam-friendly conditions, in conditions where pace is very, very important, and you do not really have a lot of options in your locker when it comes to pace. You have Hazelwood, of course, who's very good. Lungi Ngidi is around as well. But apart from that, your Chahar, Sam Curran, Bravo, these are all medium pace bowlers. It will be interesting to see how Dhoni uses them, because these players are also all-rounders. They have batting abilities, they have the firepower in them. So this man management ability of MS Dhoni that we speak about so much will be up again in our radars, and it'll be interesting to see how Dhoni goes about it. Speaking of Dhoni, wounded lions are, of course, very, very dangerous. We know that from the very beginning, and MS Dhoni throughout his career has been somebody who's gone back to his roots when he's had major losses. We know that is something he did when India bowed out of the World Cup in the West Indies when he was a young player. He took that to heart. Failures in the past also he takes them to heart. He goes down to his roots, takes a look at the entire structure, comes up with a plan, and then takes on the opposition. And that will be something that I would be interesting to see. How does MS Dhoni tackle this team entirely different? Remember, there's one name I missed out there, of course, Robin Uthappa as well, another experienced Indian campaigner. So he's got these players. Now, how does he use them? How does he bring them together? How does he lift their spirit up? What is the spirit of the Chennai Super Kings? That will be up for the test. Especially in view of the failures they've had lately. It's a champion team with champion players, experienced players, and they know what they need to do, and I hope they will execute it as well.